What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the World Hard Enduro podcast. Man, it's exciting to say that again. It's been a minute.
It's been a little while, but we are very stoked to be back. In this episode, we are going to take a little bit of a look at the last 2 years and what has happened in the world of Hard Enduro, specifically the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship. We'll also be looking at 2026 and what the calendar looks like and what's in store for this new season. We'll end the episode off talking about the World Enduro Riders Association, what it is, who's in it, and how it is changing the riding landscape in Hard Enduro. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Exactly 6 months since we decided to maybe not pursue just Hard Enduro and stop the World Hard Enduro podcast.
Jeez, what were we thinking?
We found ourselves actually talking about Hard Enduro more often than not when the podcast was not happening. And we just decided, like, what are we doing? Why are we not recording this?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. Honestly, the more that we weren't doing it, the more that we were questioning, like, why aren't we doing it? Like, we love doing this. That's pretty much why we're back, is because this is what we enjoy. We enjoy speaking about Hard Enduro. We speak about it anyway, so we may as well just press record and share what we know with you as our community and get your thoughts and opinions and feedback on what's going on in the industry.
I think that's the key, because we live together, so we obviously know each other's opinions on a lot of the topics that we discuss.
That's true.
And I think it's really cool to have you guys involved, because then we can get your side of it as well. And I think that that's the most important thing here. You know, we are talking to people and Hard Enduro fans like we are, and we want to get your opinions on the sport. And that's cool.
Yeah, we welcome you guys to drop some comments and your opinions and your thoughts on not only the topics that we are speaking about, but things that interest you, and maybe we can share our opinions and your opinions in future episodes.
But enough about why we're back in our stuff.
Yes.
Let's speak about Hard Enduro.
Yes.
So in today's episode, we are going to be chatting about 3 main topics. We feel like it's a good idea to give a little bit of a background story before we enter the current situation of Hard Enduro.
When we say background story, it's just like a more recent history recap. I mean, you know Hard Enduro, you know WERA's promotions, you know kind of where the championship started, but it's the more recent things that we want to kind of touch on.
Yeah, and then after following the kind of basic history lesson of where we were, it's time to figure out where we are right now.
Correct.
Then after that, we're going to be discussing the newly founded World Enduro Riders Association. Sorry, there's so many acronyms inside Hard Enduro at the moment.
It's crazy, actually.
So, yeah, we're going to be discussing a little bit more about that and what does it mean and what does it mean for the sport, and then we'll talk more deeply about that a bit later in this episode, so stay tuned for that.
Yes.
But firstly, let's take it a step backwards here. It's November 2024.
Yes.
Okay. KTM AG files for self-administration, which is just before bankruptcy.
Shocker.
Absolutely. The industry there's exclamation marks everywhere.
Exactly.
That's the best way I can describe it. Everyone is just, what the heck is going on here?
Yes.
At this time, a small company called WERA Promotions was getting funded by KTM to run the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship.
Which we didn't actually know until this bombshell dropped. It only came to light after the KTM situation that WERA was so heavily supported by KTM.
I think that's the main point there, is how heavy that weighting was of financial support.
Yes.
So KTM in December decide, okay, we need to basically start cutting our overhead, and WERA Promotions was one of them. Unfortunately, leaving them a very small window to try to figure out to try to get as much funding and support as possible to host the 2025 Hard Enduro World Championship. Was just around the corner.
Literally like a couple months. I mean, okay, essentially not a couple months. I mean, it was supposed to be April, but still close enough that it caused a lot of chaos and questions.
February comes around, and we hear a statement from the CEO.
Winnie Kerschagel.
Winfried Kerschagel makes an announcement that they will not be running and promoting the FIM Hard Enduro for 2025. Basically stating that there will be no Hard Enduro Championship in 2025.
The championship is cancelled, essentially.
Yes, in headlines.
Yes.
With exclamation marks.
Yes.
That left the riders, the teams, the sponsors, and us as the fans just high and dry.
Questioning what on earth is happening to Hard Enduro and what is going to happen in 2025.
Yeah.
Everyone basically knew, okay, the championship's cancelled, now what?
Along come the saving grace.
The saving grace, and the knight in shining armor.
Pro Touch Global, aka Hard Enduro Promotions, aka Ross and Robbie, step in at the last minute to take up what has been left on the table and basically take it upon themselves under their own budget to try to fund and promote the 2025 Hard Enduro World Championship.
Yes, they are given basically the rights by FIM to be the new promoter of the championship.
This all happens in March, if I'm not mistaken.
April.
In April.
So pretty close to when the first rounds are supposed to be happening.
Which was in May. The second week in May, which was going to be in the UK at Valley's Hard Enduro, set up by Nick Plum and his team.
Correct. And my understanding was that they had put in a lot to make this year even bigger and better than the year before.
Yes.
Like they were prepared no matter what, whether there was a championship or no championship. That race was going to happen, and it was going to happen to the best of their ability. And then things changed.
Round 1 cancelled.
Pretty much. So this left us with, a lot of uncertainty with what's going on. I can only imagine what the teams and riders and basically the whole ecosystem of this championship was thinking at this point. Yeah.
Also, we've got to be thinking about the organizers themselves. You know, Nick Plum put a lot of work into that race, into the Valley's Hard Enduro. He held a very successful event the year before, which was dry and dusty, but the conditions didn't deter them. They made it work.
Yeah.
And was very excited to be part of the championship for the next 3 years from that point.
Yes. A very, unfortunate situation, because at that point, the new promoters needed to kind of hustle to figure out a new calendar, what 2025 could look like. And I think that Valleys was just too close to when they were given the rights to be the promoter. So they really had to kind of figure out a different calendar to the one that Wes had proposed for 2025.
Absolutely. And we saw the calendar change quite extensively, but with races that we actually still know.
Yes.
So I think from the organizers or the promoters' perspective, the infrastructure was there.
They're choosing races that had been in the championship or had been well attended already.
Except the big ones like Red Bull Romaniacs and Erzberg Rodeo.
That is true. Erzberg and Romaniacs chose not to be part of this new championship. They chose to kind of go independently, which in hindsight I understand. When they did it, I was like, oh, that's a big question mark. And I think everyone was a bit like, okay, what's happening here? But now when I look back, I kind of understand it from their perspective. It's a new promoter. It's a new calendar. Things are a bit crazy. It kind of is safer to just kind of be like, okay, cool, we're going to take a back step. We're going to figure ourselves out while you figure yourself out, aka championship and promoters. So I kind of get it now looking back.
Yeah. All in all, we can see that the organizer or the promoters share the calendar for the year, starting with Silver Kings in America.
Yes.
Then moving on to Aberstone, Hispania in Spain, Sea to Sky in Turkey, Getzen Rodeo in Germany, and then following it up with the final round at Lesotho, South Africa.
Yes, the Roof of Africa.
The Roof of Africa, exactly. I think that from now, in hindsight, looking back, how lucky are we that we actually had a championship?
Honestly, they did do a great job. They had a successful year.
Yes.
Like they did present a championship with a minimum of 6 rounds, like it worked.
Yes.
And now, as you said, looking back, like we can actually be very grateful that there was a championship, that there was racing, that Hard Enduro didn't just stop.
Yes.
It didn't take a back step. Like we somehow managed, or they at least somehow managed to keep that ball rolling. It kept the train on the track.
And then let's speak about the racing a little bit, because we follow coming into this year, in 2025 at least, we had a dominant KTM kind of rampage.
Yes.
Like Manny was on an absolute winning streak, winning pretty much anything that he entered.
That's true. He was pretty much unbeatable in that 2024 season. So going into 2025, we were like, well, we thought it would be predictable.
Yes.
But actually it wasn't.
Yes. So only winning 3 out of the 6 rounds,
Correct.
which was Silver Kings, Aberstone, and Getson Rodeo.
Yes. Looking at the other 2 races, you have Hispania and...
Oh, sorry. It was actually Silver Kings, Sea to Sky, and Getson Rodeo.
Oh, right. So then Aberstone and Hispania, those 2 rounds are when we saw Billy take the win, and that was surprising. I think a welcomed change from the industry.
Yes.
I think it's good to have competition at the top. It's good to see multiple riders challenging each other for that number 1 spot. So that was a really refreshing thing to see. And then something that came out really from the left field was Roof of Africa.
Absolutely. What a way to send off the year. So
you tell us, Brandon, who took the win at Roof of Africa?
None other than the Junior FIM Hard Enduro World Championship for 2025, James Moore. What an outstanding ride that he had. Absolutely killed it. And I think that it just shows how good those South African boys are when it comes to riding the rocks of Lesotho.
Yeah. I would consider that being a breakout performance, a breakout race for him as a rider, as an athlete. It was honestly amazing to watch him, do so well in that race. And so I'm like super, super chuffed for him. I'm really excited to see what the future holds for him. So kind of summing up how the season ended, Manny still was the overall FIM Hard Enduro World Champion. And then obviously another thing that we should probably mention with regards to juniors is that Ashton was injured in the season. So it kind of opened the door for the rest of the juniors to kind of compete for that top spot. But ultimately, James did become the junior world champion.
That's actually a good point. I didn't quite think about like from that perspective. And we also saw some other South Africans in that junior class that were doing super well, like Thomas Scales. So that was really cool to see. Also, one thing that I think that was quite unique inside the year was Hispania. Yes. There was some major controversy with what we'll speak about later, the Riders Association getting involved, saying that they're not going to do a piece of the track.
Yes, this was our first glimpse of them kind of taking action on their promises.
As a force to take on the boss.
Yes, exactly that. So definitely something to speak about a little bit later in this episode will be that Riders Association.
But what I want to say about that race is that we saw Graham Jarvis actually finish the race first.
Of course.
He obviously didn't. He did the track that they all kind of chose not to do, so he didn't cross the line first. But because he completed the full track, he got the winner. But he was not part of the championship. So it's a lot of things going on there. But what you need to know is that Billy came first in championship points and Manny came second at that point.
Yes.
So yeah, but Graham and Sonny Golgia were 1 and 2.
Yes.
Which is wild.
I think everyone was confused and just didn't really know what on earth went down, which is understandable because it was confusing. But that was kind of the end result.
2026.
Yeah, let's move on to the next topic of this episode, and that is the 2026 championship calendar. So now we've gone out of 2025, a successful season. We're going into a new year. Now this is the first year where the promoters are in control. They're not like, okay, quickly let's organize a championship and see what we can do. This is our championship now. Now we get to set the rules. We get to lay down the foundations for how this is going to look for the foreseeable future.
Yes, and with that comes a big change to the calendar.
Correct.
we've seen a number of new races added to the calendar,
as well as new classes and new basically categories within the championship itself.
Yes. Tell us more about that.
So obviously we already know that there are the two FIM championships. You've got the FIM World Championship where you've got your elite riders, the billies, the mannies, the top guys. They race obviously on the most challenging course at a race or at an event. Standard procedure. The next one is the FIM Junior World Championship. That's the same. Nothing has really changed. Again, the riders are between, I think, age 16 and 24. Again, they can ride on any bike. They also ride the most challenging track of the event. Those two are the same. But now we have 4 additional categories. And what they're called is, it's FIM Hard Enduro World Cups. So they're not championships, they're World Cups. So the first one is a Women's World Cup. This is cool. I'm really excited about this because it's a step ahead or an advancement of the women's award that they had last. Now it's a dedicated women's cup. My understanding is that it's from the age of 16 onwards, and I do believe that there are quite a few women, from what I've seen and heard, there are a few women who are excited about this. So that's a really cool thing to see, that there's a dedicated class for women. Then you also have a Senior World Cup. This is for riders aged over 40 years. And I think the one thing to note is that if they are over the age of 50, there needs to be a health declaration, which definitely makes me question Jarvis.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure he's 50 now, right?
Yeah, he's going to have to do a health declaration, make sure that the body's fit before he gets into
Get
it.
a doctor to sign off on that one.
Yeah.
Then the next class or category or cup is the Youth World Cup. So this is you would say the youngest class. It's like below the junior championship class. I think the ages are between 14 and 20. So definitely some young riders. But it's cool to see because I think there's a lot of young talent. We'll see some new riders coming up in that class. And then obviously they ride a 150cc. And then the last one is a 4-stroke World Cup. So with these guys, they are actually just racing in the championship class standard. And they just get points based on their overall positions. One more thing that I want to mention is that there is an addition of electric bikes. But they're not getting their own class or a separate category. Basically, they are only allowed to race in the championship class, and they compete with the combustion engine bikes. So they kind of just additionally added in there.
And I think that's actually exactly what, the main e-moto brand at the moment, Stark-Varg, wants. They want to be competing directly against the internal combustion engine.
I think they have something to prove, and why wouldn't they after Romaniacs?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see if Stark-Varg actually puts in a team for the year to go to all 9 rounds of this championship. Also, I think there's another thing to note here that's quite important, and that's that these classes or World Cups are subject to a minimum entry for each of the classes.
Yes.
What this means is that if there is less than 5 riders per class or per World Cup class, the organizer or the promoter can choose to actually eliminate that class for that round. So, and then the pro class, the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship class, they need to complete all 9 rounds of the calendar without any throwaways.
Right.
The juniors, they can complete 6 rounds of the championship, so basically having 3 throwaway rounds,
Right.
and or choose not to go to 3 of the rounds, as well as the other classes that you mentioned, the women, youth, junior, and 4-stroke.
Yeah.
My thought pattern is that, imagine if you are a rider saying that you are dedicated, like let's say you are a father of a youth rider and you want to take your rider to enter this world championship because you believe that he can do well and it's a good life experience. And this is what he wants to do, or she. And you choose 6 of the rounds to go to because budget will be tight. You don't have factory support.
Yes.
And you get to one of these rounds and the organizer has to cancel your class because there's not more than 5 races or 5 riders inside that class.
Ooh.
That would be quite tough, I think.
Yeah, that is a little bit of an issue or a potential issue, right?
So I think it's going to be a lot of management from the promoter's side trying to convince riders to join these races to make sure that they can fill the classes up enough to actually hold this World Cup.
Yeah, that's a good...
Score points for this World Cup.
Yeah, I think that what we'll probably see is a big push on maybe specific events to try to get these classes like filled. To make sure that before they even get to the event, they know if it's going to be recognized or not. Because you don't want 3 riders to kind of rock up at a race and then they're like, oh, well, we didn't know it wasn't going to be categorized. It wasn't going to be counted. So I think ideally everyone should or will know before the race if it's going to be recognized or not, so that if it's not, then they probably pull out and redirect their money, finances to a race that will be better attended. Hopefully that is the case. Hopefully there's good communication with regards to that, because I think that's the only way around it, right? Is just to be clear and open and honest as to how many people are in these cup classes and if it will be counted or not.
I think your key point there, clear communication, would be the backbone of this championship going forward.
I agree. Yeah.
So we spoke a little bit about there being 9 rounds of this championship. Let's go into what those rounds entail.
Yeah, so 9 rounds are proposed for the 2026 season. The idea is to deliver a truly global championship spanning Europe, Africa, and North America. And the plan is for the season to run between April and October. I think mostly this is to accommodate for a lot of the riders who are doing Super Enduro. They'll finish the Super Enduro Championship and then move into the Hard Enduro World Championship. So, yes, 9 rounds, it's a lot. 9 rounds is a big calendar, especially for Hard Enduro. So let's get into what that looks like. So round 1, we're heading to France for the Alström Hard Enduro. Round 2, we head to Portugal for Extreme XL Lagares. Round 3 is back in the US for Silver Kings Hard Enduro. Round 4, we are in Italy for Aberstone. Now, Aberstone actually has a new venue or a new track. So I think it's called the Aberstone Rodeo Miravale. I could be saying that wrong. Don't hate on me, please. Round 5 is a new one as well, which is going to Sweden. So Forza Orza is in Sweden for round 5. Round 6 is back to Italy for Wildwood. Round 7 is Lesotho again for Roof of Africa. Round 8 is Turkey for Sea to Sky. And then we're finishing off round 9 in Spain for 24MX Hispania Hard Enduro. So a pretty packed calendar for the 2026 season.
I must say the round 5 in Sweden, its name has got quite a ring to it.
It does.
Forza Orza.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Something that I'd like to pronounce.
Yeah.
Sounds super weird. Forza Orza.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting to see these new rounds. And as a racer, as someone that this is their job, man, what a year to look forward to.
Right.
As a team though, or as someone that is sponsoring a racer or rider that needs to travel to these 9 locations.
I feel like for them, every time I mention a round, it's just like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's just more money exiting their pockets, exiting their bank accounts. Because looking at that as a rider, it's like, wow, that's sick. Like, that's cool. Like 9 rounds, amazing. But then you're right. If you're the one forking out the money for that, that's a very intimidating season.
Absolutely. And this pretty much leads us to the final point that we want to talk to today in this episode. But before we get into that, if you guys are enjoying us talking about hard enduro topics, it would be really cool if you just had to drop a like. It means a lot to us. And I know from a consumer of content, it's something that we completely overlook.
Yes.
I honestly don't subscribe to many pages.
Which is crazy because we we honestly have to search for the pages every time. Like I know who I like to listen to, who I like to watch, but then I forget to subscribe, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's a new video or a new like podcast, and then I must go now search for that person to get a notification figure it out.
It's so true. I do the same thing. It's wild. Why we do that? We like the channel, we like the content, then we choose not to subscribe. Like
silly.
So that, anyways, if you guys are enjoying this and not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, drop us a like, because we are getting back into World Hard Enduro things and we are loving it. So I hope you guys are too.
And there's a lot to cover.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have 9 rounds just of a championship, let alone the rest of the industry and riders and teams and everything that's happening. So there's definitely more to come.
The World Enduro Riders Association.
Yes.
World Enduro Riders Association.
That's beautiful, Brandon.
It's work. It's got kind of go Power Rangers.
It's got a bit of a ring to it.
It does, right? So we heard of the World Enduro Riders Association come into play last year in Hispania. They actually united and came together as one to, put their thoughts down to the organizers and to not ride a section because they deemed it too dangerous.
So what is the World Enduro Riders Association?
Let us know.
Okay, so I've read a lot about it to try to understand it, and I'm going to try and summarize it in a way that makes just the most amount of sense. My understanding is that it's basically a group of riders or representatives that have come together because they would like to address the problems in the championship series from a rider's perspective. That's essentially what that they are doing. They ideally would like collaboration between the riders, the event organizers, the promoters, and then you could argue an extension of that would be FIM as well. Some key things that they're trying to address would be simplifying rules and making the overall quality of the races improved, basically. I think some ways that they're going to do that is looking at track design, so they have someone dedicated to racing or looking at the track before an event. They're trying to streamline logistics to getting to the championship, the calendar itself, as well as just improving standards to improve the entire racing ecosystem. So that's the summary of what they represent.
All jokes aside, I mean, it seems pretty reasonable and valid, exactly.
And I think I would argue that for a long time, they haven't really been focused on, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, the riders haven't been the key focus.
Yeah.
In the sense of no one's, it sounds bad, but no one cares about them, right? We care about watching them. We care about them being at the races, them attending the races, but who's actually listening to them? And I feel like that's been from their perspective, that's been a bit of a concern over the years. It's you guys aren't listening to us as the riders.
You're right. We've heard a lot from them in previous years that they feel like a bit of a traveling circus.
Yeah.
And they are basically put onto the stage for people to enjoy and to watch, and some people to make money from the media side of things. And I guess this is their time to basically speak up and to get their voice across to the people that matter and the organizations that matter.
Absolutely. So looking at who this association consists of, they have what they're calling a leadership team. So you've got your president, which is Alfredo Gomez.
Brilliant.
You've got your vice president, which is Mario Raman.
Okay.
You've got your secretary, which is Billy Bolt, and I must acknowledge that I read a comment from Enduro 21, which was referring to Billy Bolt sitting at the end of the table making notes with a pencil, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, it was good.
And then the last one is the spokesperson is going to be Manuel Littenbecher. So these are the main riders from this association. I will be honest, I don't know who else is part of it. It's
apparently
not clear.
There was six, apparently, the 6 riders. So we only see 4 on paper.
Which is surprising because, yes, they are the top guys. And yes, they are the ones who should have a voice, who will be able to have some leverage on something to say. But I would have guessed that maybe more riders would be part of it. Not really sure. So now let's talk about what we've seen from them. I would say that there are 2 main situations that have unfolded from this association. The first one was they kind of started this association in October 2025. A month later, no, can't be. Maybe it's a month before. I'm not sure. But basically, the first round that we saw them active at was round 4 of the championship at Hispania. So Billy and Manny, followed by the rest of the other top riders, they stopped racing after 2 hours of racing in front of a packed area of packed crowd of spectators just before a really technical final finish area. only 2 riders actually completed that section, like the full section, which was, as you mentioned before, Graham Jarvis and Sonny Gogia. The rest of them, they kind of like took a step back, and the reason is that it wasn't necessarily about the race itself, I would say, but a bigger issue that you mentioned before, that the races are becoming a little bit too hard, a little too dangerous, and they are too focused on making a spectacle for video and social media rather than actually the conditions that the riders have to ride in themselves. So this idea of like a circus, everyone is watching them, oh, look at them trying to do these difficult things. I think for them that was like the bigger issue, and so Hixmania was them kind of taking their first step to put their foot down and kind of make sure their voices were being heard. Obviously much to the dismay of the promoters and the race organizers, but you know, it is what it is. That's kind of what went down. And then more recently, it was the calendar that caused some drama. So they made a statement saying that they will only race 6 out of the 9 rounds, claiming that the Hard Enduro World Championship Series needs a more sustainable and feasible schedule that respects the realities that is faced by the riders, the factory teams, the manufacturers, and the broader enduro community. And that despite making repeated efforts to collaborate with the promoter, there was still an absence of meaningful financial support for travel expenses, logistics, and entry fees. So they said that the 3 or the 4 events that they're not going to go to, the first one is XL Lagares because it's one of the most remote events. Roof of Africa because it has very high demands with regards to logistics and expensive to get everything there. Sea to Sky is also logistically and challenging, and apparently registration is quite expensive.
Okay.
And then the last one was Forza Orza, mostly because it clashes with a Red Bull event, which is the Red Bull Tennessee Knockout, Red Bull TKO.
Okay.
So it's not that they don't want to race this event, it's just that like if they could change the dates of the event, they would like to race it, but I think a lot of them might choose TKO over Forza Orza.
And
so,
what was the response from the promoters, the Hard Enduro promotion?
Yeah, that was an interesting response. I wasn't really sure how they would come back at that, but basically the Hard Enduro promotion said that 6 rounds is a step backwards for the sport, that the sport should start to grow, not move backwards, especially from the previous years. And that apparently the association, as you said, is only made up of 6 riders, which doesn't represent the entire paddock, which valid. I guess that makes a good point. And that the current calendar balances the needs of all stakeholders, and every professional sport requires difficult choices. Riders must decide whether they are chasing a world title or prioritizing individual events.
Wow, a lot to unpack there. But this... Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, we haven't even started yet. Like the year's going off like with a bang. But I think this is my position. Yeah. My first question and my thought pattern is that these remarks from the Riders Association are all got to do with logistics and funds, budget.
Yes.
So as a rider that gets paid to do these races, they don't pay to go to these races. Their teams do.
Yes.
So my question is, how much influence does the team structure have in the Riders Association?
Good point. Because I guess if you look at it, it's only the top riders who are making these, who are part of this association. But all of those riders are ones with some kind of support, right? With like a team.
Yes.
Or were with a team at least. Yes. So how is it that they are the ones basically complaining about logistics, but it's their teams that are the ones getting in there? They're not doing it themselves. So I guess that maybe it is the teams. Maybe you're right.
This is like a thought. I mean, that's just thinking outside the box with about like, you know, why they would, because as a racer, someone that like this is a job, like fuck it, let's go racing. Like, you know, you get to go experience new countries, you get to go ride new places.
9 rounds, sick.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like a good working year.
Yeah.
So dropping it back to 6, I get it. And then from my perspective as well, I think that the comment back or the press release back from the Hard Enduro promotions was pretty solid. Like in a way quite happy to see them stand up for the organizers.
Yeah, true.
Because these are the people that are putting their budget, their life on the line, basically, to host these events, and hopefully they can turn a profit from it. If that, I mean, even just to break even. So, these organizers, like just thinking of Nick Plum in Valley's Hard Enduro in 2025, like those guys are important.
Yeah.
So as a promotion company for this championship, I think that them choosing the sides of the organizers is a pretty good and solid move, because without these organizers, you could also argue without the riders, but
yeah, that is the other side of the coin, right? It's like, what happens if the riders don't go to the events?
Yeah.
What if riders say, oh, we're not going to go to Lagares, Sea to Sky, Forza Orza, and the Roof?
Maybe we see a new winner in the championship class.
I mean, I kind of dig it. I kind of like the fact that there's like, okay, we'll choose. And if they don't go to those 3 or 4 events, that someone who is consistent and does go to all the rounds then could, quite frankly, be the champion. Like, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of changes up the scene,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very interesting landscape at the moment. And with the Riders Association going against the organizer, I mean, like, I wonder how that first walk around of the pits is going to feel. It's going to feel a little bit awkward, I must be honest.
It's gonna, a little bit of tension.
A little bit of tension on round 1, back and forth. Yeah, I just think it's a lot of drama, but I completely get it. I mean, we're sitting on the couch busy discussing this, so
literally.
Yeah, literally. So I completely understand it. But just interesting to see how it unfolds, and then because you always look back on it and you can see exactly like, oh, okay, I get it.
Like everything kind of works out in the end,
Absolutely.
But it's just interesting to see how it's going to work out. I think at this point it's just a little unpredictable.
Yes.
Predictable, but not.
First round planned to start in April.
Yes.
So not too long from now. And then we're going to have some racing action from the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship. But here at the World Hard Enduro, we are not just covering things on the Hard Enduro World Championship. We're going to be talking about everything in the world of Hard Enduro. That could be industry updates, team changes, other national extreme and Hard Enduro racing series, which we're quite excited to share and to talk about. And new products in the industry. There's so much to talk about, so much positivity, so many things happening in this industry. And we hope that we can give you a good insight into what is happening and what's going on. Because I don't know about you, when I'm looking at my social media these days, I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of shit that I have to go through.
It's so difficult to keep up. Because also, like, even if you care about Hard Enduro, you can't tell me that you see everything you want to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the algorithm is weird. Social media is weird. Like, it's in a weird place at the moment. And so to have one place where you can kind of get your information from, it helps. I think it clears that, like, weird social clutter.
Yes.
And it just makes it like, oh, if I want to know what's going on, like, this is a good place. And we are doing our best to be that place for you. So if you would like to return for another episode, there will be another one coming up.
Absolutely. In the next week's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Riders, British Extreme, changing of teams. We've got some very interesting things to speak about there.
A world ranking system.
Let's
not get into that though.
The other side of the coin.
We'll get into that in the next episode. Definitely a lot to discuss.
Thank you so much for listening to the end of, if you've made it this far, true OG of Hard Enduro and also our podcast, and we thank you for that sincerely.
Yes.
We will see you inside the next episode. See you then.